that one belief eliminated from your brain could change the course of your reality. Would you want that? It's not for everyone, only the brave. Those who want to own their life like the powerful leaders they were born to be. A pivotal moment can change everything. Now, here's the host of Crossroads to Awakening show, Wendy Paquette.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Crossroads to Awakening show. Today is a very poignant day. It is the heart frequency that transmutes separateness, is episode 9 for us, and there's so many insanely big awarenesses happening in the world today with the pandemic, with riots all over in the United States. There are things happening that we are calling forward in order to have the greatest awareness possible in this moment. So with that, I'm jumping in wholehearted into this topic of the heart frequency that transmutes separateness, because separateness is what creates the things that we don't love in our world to be right in our face. So what I mean by that is when you don't like something, you're looking from the perspective of separateness, because somehow it's outside of you, as though you aren't creating it. And in fact, it's the exact opposite, because everything is whole based on science and everything else. It's a holographic reality. Every cell is in every cell is in every cell, meaning the oneness factor is. And from that space, when you're merely looking at something, you've already identified separateness, because you are seeing something that's outside of you, whether it's with your eyes or you're feeling something that's outside of you. That identification is merely representation of information. Yes, I am seeing that. I am experiencing that. That's an identification. So in science, or in actuality, it seems separate, and it is also a representation of you or me. So you would speak from the I. I'm represented everywhere in the world. Therefore, what I see, I am. And so all of this, including the virus, including, these acts of violence in the world, I got so many awarenesses when I started asking questions, because what I know for sure is that as oneness, there's no such thing as not knowing. There's only knowing, because if there's one thing, there's an opposite thing to make a whole. It's like yin and yang. So if there's violence, there's peace. The difference is how you're seeing it, what it's gifting you, and you get to identify that it's there. So with a lot of this violence that I'm seeing in the world, it's a cry for peace, in that it does exist. And how do we get there? So I'm just going to, just for a moment, just step into that space. I heard something that one of my mentors posted on Facebook that allowed me to see the mayor of Atlanta speaking in her leadership. And she was being interviewed or someone was commenting on the video of her speaking. And here's what I got from that. If you look at a child, how does a child call for attention for something that's wrong or bothering them, or something that requires some looking at? They will call out to you. And if you don't hear them, then they might yell, or, yell a little louder. And if you don't hear them yet again, they might yell even louder. And if you don't hear them again, they might scream. And in their screaming, if you don't hear them, they might throw something. And that really, really, really brought it down to the simplest form of what's being asked for, because a child is asking for something and they're not being heard, and therefore they keep getting louder and louder to attract that attention, and they may be hungry, or they may want love, or they may need sleep, or they may need something taken care of. And that feels like it's such a small representation of the world at large right now, right? When there's something that we get to place our attention on, the cries get louder and louder. And it doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. It doesn't mean that we can't see it for what it is. And it doesn't mean we can't acknowledge the truth, because when something's not working, it'll show up in our reality in order to identify it, so that we can apply something that will work, or at least attempt to, until we can find that magical sequence that causes what we're after. So in the world, my prayers are big, right? I pray that I see myself sourcing answers to these problems that are existing right now. And I see where I am showing up as violence in the world, as the fires and the things that are calling to the most massive attention to peace. How can we be peace in this world right now? So it speaks so right into the heart frequency that transmutes separateness. Because when you know that you are everything that's occurring in the world, right down to all these things that we're looking at, this current news that we're looking on June 1st, 2020, when you know that this is a holographic reality and oneness exists and that we are that and it's being represented in front of us, we get to change it. And the change begins with us. And how we identify what's happening is we get to be the change we wish to see in the world. That is real and it's true and it's now. So it feels like a really heavy topic. And it is and it isn't. The identification that we are the change should be a cause for more joy to arrive in some form. Because now we get to take the steps forward in order to create slow change in ourselves or fast change in ourselves, which will replicate and show up outside of us. So that was one thing I really wanted to share in this episode today, because the heart frequency does transmute. We do get to be the change. We do get to see that all the things that aren't working are a representation where we've caused that. We are showing up as that. And it's also a call for raising frequencies and stepping into something greater. At the core of every human is the deep-seated desire for peace and love and harmony in every way. And quite frankly, it feels that we're just tired of not going through our life joyfully, because that's why we're here. So what I'd like to do today is play around with the energies in your heart that you can access today that will cause you to feel the kind of joy that everyone seems to be after, the kind of peace that we know is possible, but we don't know how to access it. We do have access to everything. And so if we sit with ourselves and start with us in a place where we have access to, then we get to realize that we do have control. We do have choice. And we can start with us because we're sitting right now or standing or walking or running or working or being in life right now as a living, breathing human on this planet with a beating heart that beats without our having to tell it to. So it has a life all of its own. And from me, it comes from source, which means it comes from source for you, because we are all one in this. So if source is beating our heart, then source has the capacity to pull through frequencies that can transmute the things that aren't working. It can raise our frequency up with our mere intention and step us into seeing matching frequencies that will show us the peace that we be. So what I'd like you to do, if you're listening to this episode today, whether you be live or whether you're listening to it after as a podcast, I'd like you to point to your heart, actually point to it, touch the place in your chest that you believe your heart to be, and identify that you have a living, breathing entity called a heart in your body that's breathing without you telling it to. It has a consciousness, a soul, an energy, a frequency that changes the way your body behaves every time it raises in beat level or slows down in beat level. And it does it based on your mental area. So when you're thinking about anything, it actually directs the life of your heart. So your heart's beating no matter what until the day it doesn't. And as it's beating, whatever your mind is thinking, it's following you. So you're getting a heart-mind coherence. It's following the up the down, the in, the out, the excitement and the sadness, the anger, the frustration, and also the exuberance, the love, the joy, the peace that you could feel in any moment. And because of that, when you start noticing this beautiful heart that you have, as you think about it and as you touch it and connect to it and know that it's there and really acknowledge that beautiful space inside of you, the being, that it's actually causing your life to be here. Because if it didn't be, you wouldn't be. It will slow in your acknowledgement and recognition of it. Beat peacefully. And that peaceful beating of the heart is what moves us forward. So as you're thinking about your heart in this space, know that we all have one. Every one of us alive on this planet, every living being has a heart that's beating. Beating from source energy itself, allowing us, literally allowing us to have a life on this planet in this body. And because of that, if our mind is directing how that heart beats, whether it's fast or slow, we have a choice in every moment to pull ourselves into that very moment with the intention of having that heart resonance beat out to the world. Imagine you're connected. You're in your heart space. Your heart is beating. Imagine the person, say there's someone sitting next to you. And without them really knowing it, maybe you're sitting, on a park bench and someone is sitting beside you. And you get really, really excited about something because you start thinking, there you go, using your mind, using your brain, thinking about a party that you're going to later. And you're so excited about this party, can't wait, all your favorite people are going to be there, and your heart starts beating with joy and beating faster. And you suddenly realize that the person beside you is looking at you, smiling. And you're trying to figure out why they're looking at you, but suddenly something in your heart frequency caused their heart frequency to match yours. So whatever frequency you are at, whatever heartbeats you are at, that excitement, that joy, that excitability that you were having inside of your body based on the beats of your heart was connecting to the person next to you, and their heart started feeling the joy and excitement that you were feeling. That's why they're looking at you smiling, and you have now touched them without saying a word. How? Because all hearts beat as one. All source springs forth into our human bodies and resonates in our heart, and our hearts are all connected. Now, they may all be beating at the exact same time, and they may not all be beating slow and fast all the exact same time, but I'll tell you that heart resonance reaches out really, really far, and I know there's some scientific evidence behind this as well. There's also heart math out there, which really is a beautiful thing. But that type of powerful connection to yourself and to what's possible when touching the people around you without saying a word can change the world. Because imagine all around the globe, people coming together in a space where all of our hearts and minds are calling for peace. They're calling for peace, calling for joy, and beating together as one in that heart frequency that we're all after. What do you think would happen to some of the violence around the world, to some of the sadness around the world? Would it not be blessed and bathed in a frequency that caused them for even moments to experience some joy and some peace? I want you to sit. We're going to go into a break here. And I want you to sit there with your hand on your heart, and I want you to feel it beating. And with every breath in and out, call in the most peace, the most joy you have ever or never even allowed yourself to experience. And pull it through into a space where intentionally you know that it could be as far as you will let it. In fact, send it across the globe and intentionally send it into the spaces that are having the call for attention right now. Send the peace there. And let's be be right now in our bodies the cause of peace to occur, because it is possible. It is absolutely possible. So we're going to step into a break. I'm sending you all love, everyone listening to it, now and forever. And I'm emanating out peace beyond my greatest imaginations to everywhere and everyone. And I will see you after the break.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the crossroads to awakening.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Hello everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for everyone who sat in their heart space and just beamed peace and love and harmony and joy out of their heart, because I know that it is resonating across the globe. And my intention is that it makes a difference, and that it is the difference, and it's something that's required right now. So there's a few things that I was running into today that I'm going to share with you from this space, because the heart frequency is where I work every single day. My work revolves around it. I do a lot of one-on-one sessions and group sessions in places where we shift frequencies. And by frequencies, I mean like I speak into programs that are stuck in your brain that you've decided that you didn't even really know was there, something that you bought. I liken it to like shopping, right? Maybe you bought some kind of limiting belief that's stuck there, and you're living through that limiting belief because it's there. We work with those, and we shift them together. And how we shift them is through our heart space. That was the gift given to me, is the understanding of oneness, the absolute dissolvement of separateness through the heart space in oneness. That's how it all works for me. So being in that space for me is an everyday thing. So I am truly seeing the things happening around the globe as me. I'm seeing them, and I'm asking these very important questions that cause you to know the question and the answer at the same time, because universal intelligence is simultaneously everything at once. So it's your soul matching everything, every frequency at one time. And when you ask a question, it's the yin and yang of question and answer. You ask a question, you receive the answer at the same time. Now, people might think that that is a difficult thing to absorb or to swallow based on the fact that we go to school to learn, which means essentially what it means, or what we've come to think that it means, is that we go to learn because we don't know something. And in fact, we go to ask the questions to embody the answers. It's like a reminder. we do have access to all the information that ever was and ever will be, because oneness is infinite, which means there isn't anything that you don't know. The difference being, when you ask questions, you're looking outside of you for the answer, which, what does that spell? Separateness. So when you finally get that oneness and separateness are at the same time a different viewpoint. So you see separateness as, I see separateness every day when I'm looking at a flower, I'm looking at my sun, I'm looking at something that's automatically separate because I'm using my eyes, which is one point, to see something, which is at another point. So it's in reference to me, separate. But what I also know in the same moment is that it is me. So I'm seeing it and it is me at the same time. So it's the yin and the yang, right? So where we go from here is, what would you like to create? Like, if you knew that your mental and emotional intelligence were speaking to you in a way that you are so whole that you could change anything in an instant by identifying what you're actually looking at and realizing that it is you and the shift gets to be you, what would you want to change? So if you're listening to this live, or if you're listening to it after in a podcast, ask yourself these questions. What isn't working right now? What's not working? And as you ask the question, I want you to invite in the knowing of this. The answer is here. I have the answer. Whether it drops in instantaneously in your receiving of it, or it shows up in some other form of a gift. It could be a friend drops a book off at your house and it actually magically has the answer in it. Or you receive a phone call from a friend who somehow they deliver you the answer without you even asking. Or maybe you open up the computer and the first email in your inbox has the answer. And you didn't even send out the question to anyone by email. It just showed up for you. What if that could be possible? I'm telling you that it is. I'm asking you so that you could know that it is. Because the answer and the question reside in the same moment. The yin and the yang, the up and the down, the in and the out, they all are in the same moment with each other in a space of oneness. So I will speak about this until the cows come home, because it is something that was gifted to me in an instant. It took me quite a long time to figure it out. And then once I did, it really lands every single day when I ask for something in my mind. I'll say, I wonder where my book is. Like, I wrote a book years ago and I got some support with it and I edited it a little bit, but I never finished it. And I was like, man, I don't even know where I stored that digitally. I wonder where it is. That's all I did. I didn't go on a hunt looking for it. I just brought in the question and then I moved about my day because it was one of those fleeting questions. And the very next day, not like 24 hours later, I opened up my email and it was my Gmail, and somehow there was a highlighted email at the bottom of all of the emails, like when you're just looking at the page. I'm like, why is that highlighted? And I just happened to read it. And would you believe it says manuscript of the Spark book? I'm like, what? How did that even get there? Like, it wasn't even in my Gmail. Like, it just wasn't. I don't know how it got there. And I mean, I surprise myself every day because life is just so awesome when you get it. But that actually happened, and it was like days ago, literally. The coolest part was I was so dumbfounded by it that I actually took a picture of my computer screen with that on it, with it highlighted pink. I didn't even touch it. I almost didn't want to get off the page because it was so fun. And what I noticed was the date on the email said 2016. And all the rest of my emails said 2020. It was so bizarre. So that is what can occur if you choose to know that you have the answers and the questions, or the questions and the answers at the same time, and are willing to receive the answer. So I didn't even I wasn't deliberately going, okay, I'm going to go find it. I mean, I did have that thought in there because I'm curious and I'd like to finish it, get it edited and get it out there for people to read. but I didn't take action, like actual physical action on finding it. Aside from opening up my email, I mean, I did not expect to see it in there. So I remember I took a picture and I messaged my friend Kathleen. I'm like, you're never going to believe what happened, because I just asked about my book and it showed up in my email. So that is just one example of how you can be the question and the answer at the same time. And I say be, because as we are whole in that space, in this holographic reality, if I am in everything, then I am the question as I ask it. I am also the answer. It's such a concept. I know your brain goes into a funny twist, because it goes, well, then how does that happen? Which way does it go? And where do I look? And what are the next steps? And I'm here to say I don't know the answer to that question. What I do know is that the mere allowance, acceptance, and receiving of that statement, of that fact, you will receive it in the way that works best for you. And it's probably as magical as you are. It will show up as super fun as you are. And it will be there. And it will show itself to you. You just get to be open to it. And I see Nikki in the chat room. I am the question and the answer at the same time. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So much fun. So what if we have, take that big, huge concept, and what would you like to apply it to? Now, I asked you the question earlier, what's not working? Because I'll tell you something. The answer to how it is working is with you also. So how open, how receiving, how curious do you get to be in order to receive that answer? Just receive it. Well, however it shows up, believe me, you can try to direct it all you want. You'll be like, I want to see it in this way and that way. It may take longer to get it that way because the universe would have to align up the situation to deliver it. Or you can say, you know what, I'm totally open to receiving it however it shows up. I just know I get to have the answer. And that causes what we call miracles, right? Doesn't it seem a miracle when the question is asked and the answer arrives and there's no explanation to how it got to you? Me? Miracle. That's what I call it. I don't know about you. You can call it anything you want to call it. Magic, miracle, whatever it might be. You're calling it forth. It's showing up. Why? Because you have both within you. You are whole. You are one. And you are without separateness. So you can take this as big or as small into your reality as you like and play with it, right? Play with it. Spend time with you asking those beautiful questions and then being open to the answer. And when I say being open to it, I mean, don't ask a question that you need to know the answer in 30 seconds. I mean, maybe we'll get to that point and that's the easy thing we get to do. I love that idea. And if you're being that demanding, perhaps you're not being open enough to receive it, because it could be in a millisecond that you'll receive it. But because you've decided that you need it in 30 seconds, that is a limitation. So you've now already placed a limitation on it. So my invitation is to be open. Just be open. Be open and allowance to receiving, and ask 100 questions of things you love. Now, let me caveat that. If you ask a question that you really, really, really do not want the answer to, what do you think I'm going to say to that? Don't ask the question if you're not willing to receive, because you're going to put up the block to, I really don't want to know that, and that could very well be the program that you lock into your brain, right? You just hold that. I really don't want to know the answer to that question. Well, what if that becomes so strong in your brain that it becomes a program that no matter what question you ask, you plug in and play through that limited program saying, I don't want the answer, and therefore you're not going to see it. Now, it's not that the answer isn't there, and it's not that you don't have access to it. It's that that program is going to block you from being able to read the frequency or even match the frequency of the answer, right? So it's like an automatic scrambler. You ask for the question, but because it goes through that portal or that filter or that veil of I really don't want to know the answer, you won't be able to see it if it's sitting right in front of you. It's impossible because of the filter. So on the other side of our next break, which we're going to walk into right now, I will share with you what is possible and how we can move some of those frequencies out of the way that are blocking you from having answers near instantaneously, maybe much like my email with my book. I mean, it's 2020. That email was written with my book attached to it, 2016. That's 4 years. It was hiding for 4 years, and magically it shows up. I'm going to share with you the magic of how that could be possible for you. So let's come right back. You're listening to Wendy Paquette. This is the Crossroads to Awakening show. So much love. I will see you in a minute.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So before the break, we were talking about how things can be magically possible in an instant through the ask and the receiving of the answer. So the asking of the question and the receiving of the answer. So, have you ever read the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins? It is so, so good. And I have many of his books, and I did read them some of them before he passed away. However, today I felt called to grab his book and flip through it, and it had markers in it already. And the markers, I flipped to the pages, and one was the database of consciousness, and, there was the evolution of consciousness. It really does have some of these concepts in it. And the cool part is I speak about them, and then I find the answer after. But what if that's my question and answer? What if I'm speaking from the truth of what I know, from the deepest parts of my soul, those parts that I trust, I speak about them, and then all of a sudden I pick up a book and it actually repeats what I've said, which is my indicator that I'm on the right track, right? It happens all the time, and it's super fun. But let me read you something. I opened up the book. I just opened it now to see what I show myself in the moment. And what I opened it said holograms and perceptions. That was page 239, the evolution of consciousness, holograms and perceptions. It says, it's initially very challenging to understand that attitudes can alter the world one experiences, and that there are numerous valid ways of experiencing it. But as in viewing a hologram, what you see depends completely on the position that you view it from. So, my question is, what position are you viewing from? Right? What position are you viewing from? So when we create something, when we ask for something, when we decide something, or we pull through some piece of creativity, when we launch that out in front of us, whether it is a book or a piece of art or a course or a career change or a vision or a possibility or anything, when we launch something out of us in curiosity, are we coming from the space of our divine living, a place which is going to cause us peace and joy? Or are we coming from a space of lack and impossibility, where we're limited by our belief systems? Because that makes a difference. You're going to receive the exact opposite of what you're asking. Not the opposite, but you're going to receive the answer asking the question. But do you want to receive it from the space of your source of joy and love and possibility and limitlessness and infinity, or from a place where you're trying to fix something not from a space of possibility, but from a space of lack, right? From a space of, say, I always liken to speak about money in this space because people will decide to do a business because they want to make money. So they almost start from the space of lack. Oh, I want to make money, so I'm going to create a business. And then they go on to start following through on the mechanics of creating a business, and then they just pick something because maybe they learned that somewhere, who knows. They pick something to try to make money, and then it doesn't work. And they wonder, like, what's wrong with me? That's their first question. What's wrong with me? And I don't know about you, if you know, you've been listening all along and you can feel from that perspective and you're looking at that going, well, what is wrong with them? Or are you seeing where they're coming from? If they're coming from just making money, do you really believe that's from the space of joy and infinite possibility? Or is that from a space of lack? I don't have enough, therefore I must create money, make money. And so they're following through from just their head, right? From the mechanics of their brain, they're following through on, well, I'm going to make money. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to take a course. I'm going to do whatever. And I'm going to build something or make something and sell it to make money. Now, it doesn't work not because it's not possible. My version of seeing that would be, where are you coming from? Like, what space and reality are you looking from when you're creating that and then questioning the lack of success there? When you're coming from that negative space in reality, you're creating a negative space of reality, right? Are you seeing where I'm going with this? It is truly coming from that space. Where are you standing, right? What position are you asking and what position are you viewing it from? So you can't create from a space of lack and then stand in possibility and expect to see, infinite possibilities and total success from that, because you were standing in this space of lack from when you created it. Right? So you got to be standing in this space of lack in order to receive that, which is the lack, because that's what you put out there. You're going to receive it back. So yes, it is you, because you created it and you're standing in that space and you received the lack, and it's also separate from you, right? Because we are a source, we have all of it together. So you're seeing both sides, right? That's, the thing that came to my mind to exemplify. However, it happens all the time. Right? People create businesses and they don't work. Perhaps they're just not connecting into themselves from any deeper space than from their brain and their bank account. Now, those things can all be connected together. What if you were standing in the space of, okay, I don't have. So someone who creates from a space of lack starts out with, I don't have, therefore I'm going to create something because I don't have it. But if you were still standing in that same space of I don't have, but you invited in the possibility of, I don't have, therefore, what would cause me the most joy that I could create a business with that would generate funds, generate money, because that's how businesses work, and I could be my best self standing in my vision and launching myself out to the world, serving others in that space. And I'd like to generate money. What do you think would happen if you send that piece out into the world? Because you are both, right? You are whole in that very moment. So you are the question and the answer. I believe the answer coming back to you would be yes, and people would pay you for what you love being and doing in this world, because you're coming from that space of possibility and infinite possibility at that. Right? Two different spaces. And you can feel them even when I talk about it. When I create a business, I'm creating from my vision of how I see the world as like fully in peace. The whole entire like multiverse. Right? And I'm bringing it down to the micro version of our earth here in peace. And when I say peace, I mean the planet is just so happy because the waters are clean and the earth is nourished, and we are, as humans and animals and everything on it as well. That's the space I'd like to launch my business from and be that space that creates that world. The other piece is you can feel the lightness of that statement and that, even talking about it. When you stand in the space of, I need to make money, my bank account's empty, so people are making, they're opening up businesses and they're making money, so I'm going to open up a business and I'm going to make money because, I need it because my bank account's empty. So I think I'm going to sell, I don't know, something online, and then they follow, buy the course, they follow through, and it doesn't work. Can you feel the difference in the energy based on that? Like, you can feel the success of one to the other. It's like an innate knowing. You just kind of, you're walking through going, yep, that's not going to work, and that one is. And not because, like, I'm the same person in those two spaces, right? So it's not going to work when I'm in that space looking from that viewpoint of reality, because that's the viewpoint I'm looking from. It will work when I'm coming from the space of vision. Still, I'm the same person. I'm going to launch that rocket of desire, that creativity, that piece of myself into this multiverse with my heart frequency intact. Not coming from my brain, just looking at my bank account, but coming from my heart going, yeah, my bank account will flourish because I am in alignment with a bigger vision on this planet. And that is incredible. That's an incredible space to be. And I'm living it. So I can tell you that it not only feels incredible, it is incredible because my come from is so clean. I really do care about humans. I really do care that this world gets to, like, be the peace that I know is in my heart and can be possible in this world. And whatever it takes, I'm going to be peace everywhere. So sharing that message is a part of that, right? Emanating out peace from my heart in every moment, that's also a part of that. Because if I'm touching someone I can't even see, maybe they're just driving past my house, or maybe it's the mailman who was having a really crappy day before he got close to my house, and suddenly his frequency lightened up because on purpose I am being that. That's the difference. That's what a heart frequency can do, that transmutes separateness. So he is not him in his world. He is me. He is me who is having not a great day, but is now going to, because I said so, because I'm being peace, because I care. That human is me. He's one of us. He's one of me in this world, right? So I would encourage you to read Power versus Force by David Hawkins. I love anything that teaches me more about myself in the space that I can be in this world, of this world, and a cause of something in this world. And I absolutely choose peace and joy, whatever that looks like, and however I get to be it. I'll spend the rest of my life figuring it out if I must. But that's a commitment that I'm vowing to be from now until the end of time, or till the end of my time here. And I don't know what happens after that. But I certainly know that I am and can be the change now, and I'm choosing it. So that's my invitation to you. Be the change, right? Be that change. And if the change is being it in your heart in every moment to identify where you're at, choose those things that cause that in you so that you can emanate it outward and affect others in any way. Imagine if you worked in a hospital, and if you do, God love you, for sure. Pull in that peace and joy and the sweetness of health. Be it, so that everywhere you go, everyone's not only touched by the fact that you chose to show up and be at work that day or every day, but you actually are emanating the health, wealth, peace, and joy that you can be. Everyone around you is going to be affected by that. You have no idea who could be affected by it. And really, truly, it doesn't matter, because they will be. And that's what you get to know. So it's a truly incredible space to be. I mean, honestly, days and days I could go on talking about like what that could look like. But you get to know that you get to be that change. And I believe that's what it looks like in the world. It's deciding to experience peace inside of you and joy. It's being that out in the world. And if you're seeing someone on the street, trusting that they're showing up in the world for you as you. Be supportive. Be love. Be peace with that human. If you're whizzing past on the highway, I'm not saying pull over off on the highway and get, creamed by another car. I'm saying deliberately send love. Like, you can intentionally send that message to someone. Open up their heart in a way that maybe it hasn't been open for a really long time. And miracles and magic will occur. So we're heading into our final break today, and I want to definitely see you on the other side of this. But I want to share with you a space where if this is something that you'd like to experience, I have a place that you can visit, come to, spend time with me and other beautiful humans and play with us in this very heart-centered, very beautiful heart frequency space. So I will see you on the other side of this break. We'll see you shortly.
If you could wave a magic wand and have your life be anything you wanted it to be, what would it look like? Professional dancer, CEO of a multi-million-dollar earth-conscious company, a screenwriter with top billing shows, and ultimately have the boldness to move about the world without emotional blocks standing in your way, therefore having the confidence to achieve anything you put your mind to. That's what Wendy Paquette knows is possible for you. The first step is understanding why you don't believe it too, or why you do, and yet haven't created it. Put on your possibility goggles and join Wendy now, because you're at the Crossroads to Awakening. This is Crossroads to Awakening radio show with your host, Wendy Paquette. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the program.
Yay! So welcome back. So what if you could hang out with me for a day or a week or a month or a year, and we could be in that space together where we could actually be in a dedicated area, a dedicated community, that the main reason I created it was to be exactly that, was to be in a heart-centered space every single day, to be peace, to be joy, to be love, and to cause it everywhere you went just by being you. Would you show up? Would you come play? Would you meet others and change the world from where you sat? That's my invitation for you today. Being deliberate, creating peace on purpose because you're being it. So I have the Crossroads Academy, which I created with that vision of peace and joy intentionally so that I could be me joyfully and support others in that space to also be themselves, because other humans are amazing and joyful and blissful, and I get to learn something from them every time I have a conversation. So the community is insanely amazing. They're all super high vibe people, and they're from around the globe. They are changing the world from around the globe, literally. So we have so many places right now. We have Greece. We have the United States. I'm in Canada. Actually Scotland. I mean, kudos to all of you who are around the globe inside of the community creating change from where you stand. But my invitation to you all is this: come join us. Come play. Come be in a space where we can see you and love you and reflect back to you the beautiful, joyful, peaceful human that you are, and amplify in your heart frequency that space that causes the change on this planet, so that we are being the cause of the change that gets to occur. And yes, we're seeing the chaos, and yes, we're seeing the crazy. And what was I saying earlier? When that stuff is around, there's also the exact opposite, which is peace. We will be heard, right? We will be seen, and we will choose peace in that space. It all exists simultaneously. So my invitation is to come in. You can go to my website, wendypaquette.com, and at the top bar, it says the Crossroads Academy. Click on that and follow it through and jump in. Right now, we're having so much fun. It's so blissful, and the frequency inside of there is insanely amazing. Not even close to what I thought. I could imagine peace and I can imagine joy, but it's so far beyond that, because the power quantified by the amount of people that are in there, the amount of beautiful humans that join us inside of there really, really amp up the vibe. And so we're sending it out to the world, and we're powering ourselves up to be the change that we see, that we want to see in this world. So moving forward, join us next week too, to pop in and ask questions. Right now, you can really join us anytime you want. You can call in. There's a number for Canada, which is 613-800-8736, or from the United States at 815-880-8255. And ask questions. Like, I'm ready to support you in seeing your beautiful self in this world, especially in these times, especially when we're seeing the chaos. The first place to go usually is people jump into fear. And in fear, yes, there is the exact opposite. But what if you could see them both and choose the love? You could choose the love and amplify that, so that change can really, really make the difference. It first starts with you. It, pops out to your family, to your neighbors, to your friends, to your colleagues, your workmates, and to strangers on the street, in the grocery store, and it keeps on going. And what if you could just keep holding that space of peace and possibility and joy, so that it can literally encompass the globe? As we connect together across the globe with our heart frequencies, what is truly possible? Do we even know? Can we even imagine what peace could look like on this planet in the here and now, as we pull ourselves through these calls for attention to what's not working, and then choose the part that will work? It's all new, right? It's new when we haven't chosen it yet. So asking the question will evoke the answer, and it'll all show itself to us that we can choose. We can choose every single moment. We can choose peace. We can choose joy. We can choose love. We can choose kindness. They're all possibilities. They're all choices. We've got all of those like yin and yang pieces in front of us at all times. Sometimes we see somebody who's cranky at the grocery store, who's mumbling underneath their breath, and you have a choice to either see that as, that person's angry or miserable, or you can see their anger and miserable and go, wow, that is the call for attention, right? Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, that's their call. It's like a child calling out. They're just not being heard. And what's underneath of that, right? Everyone is love. You come into this world bathed in it. How that shifts and changes, that's what this human experience is all about. And we still get to be reminded that we are the space of joy and love and source, and we get to be the change we want to see in this world. And that human standing in line that's grumpy, perhaps just sending them love with your heart, or even catching their eye with a smile, might be the one thing that could shift them forever. Wouldn't you love to be that? Wouldn't you love to be that human? Doesn't it make you want to run out and look at the person who's cranky differently, so that you can be the cause of change in them, and then they can be the cause of change in someone else, and so on, until the entire globe is experiencing a joy and peace. That peace that we've all been longing for. I really do love the human embodiment, and I really do love the humans that are on this planet, leaning into the possibilities and also crying out for change. We all get to be heard, and we all get to choose something different. And we will get to that place of peace all together, hand in hand, hearts connected across the globe, and bounding out into the multiverse, so that frequency gets to raise and it never gets to stop. Because one day, I believe one day, we will live in a world that's peaceful and joyful. And I will be the cause of that in my heart, emanating it out to everyone, all of you, forever. That is my commitment. So as we're approaching the end of the show, I want to say my heartfelt gratitude for your ears of listening, for your hearts for showing up, for your stand of peace in this world from now until the end of time. I appreciate you. I honor you. I acknowledge you. And I would love for you to join me so that we can lock arms together, link hearts together in the Crossroads Academy. I'm bursting with peace and joy and love across the multiverse. I invite you to come the same, and I will one day lock eyes with you in peace, whether it be now or in another world. Much love. See you next time.
Thank you for choosing to listen to the Crossroads to Awakening radio show. Wendy Paquette will return next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, and 11 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We look forward to you joining us again. Until then, Enjoy your journey, and we'll meet you at the crossroads.